Good afternoon, everyone. We are ready to get started. I'd like to start by recognizing that we are on the unceded territories of the Cowichan, Malahat, Subasit, Halalt, Penelakut, Staminas, Layaxin, Pauquichin, Dididot, and Patchidot nations who have been here for thousands of years and stewarded these lands, and we are very grateful. So we are here today for the special hospital board meeting of Wednesday, April the 30th. Ms. Boyd, what do we need first?
Thank you, Chair. Approval of the agenda as presented.
Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Martman. Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you, Chair. We have the adoption of the minutes, that the minutes be of the Special Regional Hospital District Board meeting of February 26, 2025 be adopted.
Moved by Director Callio, seconded by Director Wilson. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We move on to public input. I don't see any members of the public in the gallery. Do we have anyone online? No. Okay. Then do we get to move right through to staff reports? Do you want to introduce?
Thank you, Chair. We're at staff reports. This is the report from the Finance Division regarding the 2024 CVRD financial statements and audit results.
Welcome. Yeah, just push the button. There you go.
There we go. Hello. I am here to present the financial statements, and we have our auditors from KPMG. We have Lenora Lee, who is our lead audit engagement partner, and she will present our findings report. And if there are any questions, we can go from there.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Ms. Lee.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me at your meeting today. Nice to see everyone again. I just wanted to touch on a few of the highlights from the audit findings report for the hospital district. In terms of overall status, we are substantially complete our audit. We were on site here last month and were able to have all of our questions answered and reviewed a lot of source documentation and are at the stage where we're ready to report our findings to you. The purpose of this audit findings report is to provide you with an idea of our areas of focus, as well as scoping driven by materiality and other factors like that. In terms of overall materiality, you'll recall from previous years that materiality is established at the planning stage of the audit to understand the scope of the financial statements, as well as where there may be particular risks that could impact our overall opinion on the financial statements as a whole. The materiality for the current year was $400,000. This is based off of total revenues of the hospital district, and it's about $2.5 million of total revenues. That's very consistent with previous years, no change to the $400,000 value, as well as no change to the audit misstatement posting threshold. The audit misstatement posting threshold represents the adjustment threshold that if we noted an error in the financial statements, we would recommend the amount be adjusted prior to coming to you for review. So for example, in this particular entity, if there was, for example, a difference between the bank statement value and the amount recorded in the financial statements of $10, that would generally be a trivial amount. Nobody would change their minds on any decisions for a $10 difference, and it wouldn't be recommended for adjustment in the statements. If that difference were $25,000, it's a more substantive amount. We would bring that to the attention of management and recommend it be adjusted in the statements. For this particular year, there was no corrected or uncorrected audit differences, so we did not note any differences greater than $20,000 that was recommended for adjustment or that was not adjusted within the financial statements. This next section just speaks to the risk assessment stage of our audit. We review each of the key financial transaction streams and assess a risk related to that. This relates to risk of error. In all audits, the first line item, management override of controls, is always required to be an audit area of focus, and it's always required to be a fraud risk. So there's nothing in particular that the hospital district is doing that is driving that particular rating as significant or a presumed error related to fraud. We address this every year in all audits, regardless of size of entity, sector, whether it's for or not for profit. We do address these procedures annually. That involves things such as understanding the incentives behind financial reporting. It might involve, looking at areas of significant judgment where there's estimates that are required to be made and the inputs related to those adjustments. And we also look at specific entries that are recorded in and around year end. So if there is an incentive, for example, to show all categories of expenses below budget, and there's one item that's above and there's one item that's below, there may be incentive to move expenses between categories such that all are below budget. So that becomes the focus of our attention as it relates specifically to journal entries. In this area, we have no concerns to bring to your attention and no findings. This page here just summarizes the financial transaction streams and areas of focus. This particular entity is fairly straightforward from a financial reporting perspective. It collects taxes, it holds cash, investments, borrows debt, and issues grant expenses. As it relates to cash, investments, and debt, we confirm 100% of those balances with third parties. So with the bank and with MFA, we correspond directly with them to ensure that the figures in the financial statements match the figures they have in their records. During the current year, $75 million was taken from short-term debt in order to pay your contribution towards the new build hospital. So that was included within our confirmation process as well and appropriately reflected within the financial statements. In terms of revenues and expenses, revenues is generally exactly agreeing to budget because what you collect in tax levy is approved, and that's exactly what's billed and recognized as revenue. And in terms of expenses, we agree those all to cash payment. So the $75 million that is paid to Island Health, we confirm and review 100% of that payment. In these areas, no errors or issues were noted to bring to your attention. And then lastly, control observations. We are required to report on any significant or material control deficiencies. We note as part of our audit, we have not identified any of those types of concerns. So you'll see here that we have not identified anything to bring to your attention. Overall, the auditor's report, as you'll see attached to the financial statements, is what's referred to as a clean and unqualified audit opinion. So there's no material errors that we've noted within the financial statements, and they do present fairly in accordance with public sector accounting standards, which are the accounting rules that the hospital district is required to follow. Those were the highlights of this particular report that I wanted to touch on. There are some more materials in the appendices related to future accounting standards that we'll work closely with management on, but I'll pause there for any questions or if you'd like me to go into further detail on any particular area.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So questions, we'll start with Director Martman.
Thank you, and thank you very much for it. I was interested in actually the very last paragraph on attachment A around the tariff risk. Two questions that come out of it for me. One is, this appears to be a 2025 issue. So I'm wondering how that ends up on a 2024 audit. And the second question is, what activities can you report on or speak to any of the activities that you mentioned there to monitor and mitigate?
Sure. So I can address the timing item, and then management can certainly address, I think, the impact and what they're doing to monitor. So in terms of timing, from an audit perspective, we're required to report right up to the date that the financial statements are issued, which would be council acceptance date. So if there are significant activities that occur after December 31st, 2024, that could have the potential of a material impact on the statements going forward, that's how it gets included within these financial statements. In terms of general trends we're seeing around around monitoring activities and impact. Capital activity, if there are materials that are being purchased from outside Canada that may or may not have an impact, that's being monitored. Timing, cost escalation, general supply chain matters are where we're seeing many of our clients focus in terms of understanding and mitigating impact.
One quick one. And I noticed that you make reference to a person in your documents called A. Segal. And I was just wondering, is there maybe a first name that we're not familiar with?
My full name is Anna Katharina.
Thank you for enlightening me.
And I go by Kate. Okay, Director Wilson.
Oh, thank you, Anne. I'm looking at and Tracy will tell you I am not very good on finances stuff, but I'm looking at the investments here with the MFA, and there's numbers all over the place here. And I've just gone to note 2, which then refers back to the thingy there. I think on investments, there was something like about $1 million that we got in income from investments on that first page. And I'm looking at the investments on note 2. And there's some good returns there as well. MFA does a great job. So what exactly have we made in the investments? Because we're looking at $64 million altogether that we've got in assets. Are we getting really good returns on what we're doing?
So the numbers you've noted are correct. The interest income and other revenue for the year was $1.778 million, and then the returns were 4.83% on the money market fund, and the fossil fuel free fund was 5.39%. So those were the latter was an increase year over year, and generally MFA does a year-end report on benchmarking as to what the spread is between their portfolio as well as the benchmark return, which is generally always higher.
Good. And follow up, please, Madam Chair. And are all our investments with MFA, or are they spread on a diverse?
In this particular entity, they're with MFA.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then perhaps, Ms. Boyd, we have a recommendation. Would you like to read that for us?
Thank you, Chair. That the audit findings report for the year ended December 31st, 2024, prepared by KPMG for the April 30th, 2025 Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District Board meeting be received. Do you want to? Yeah. And that the Cowichan Valley Regional Hospital District's 2024 financial statements be presented, be approved.
Is there a mover? Director McGonigal, seconded by Director Callio. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion's carry. Thank you very much. We go through to question period. Do we have a member of the public now? No? So looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Callio. All those in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.